My name's Bill, or as they call me in Maynard, Bill! You're Bill!
I just say, Mr. Bill.
That's Bev. And I think really we should thank VSA, Malvern Books, April Sullivan for allowing us to use this place to come and do our thing. Thank you, April, so much. You're a real benefit to the cause.
Thank you.
Okay.
And a cost to the benefit, too.
Yeah. Now, you might ask yourself, what the hell is this old geezer doing up here with this beautiful woman at his side, on a Saturday night, and she ought to be out, chasing around. Yeah. But we have a manuscript we would like to read that we've been working on
Forever?
at least 15 years.
Oh, gosh, more than that.
Pretty much.
How old are you?
You want to get into that? But that's what it's about. You see, she fed me that line right there. How old are we? We're ancient. Maybe not as old as anybody in here, or maybe older than everybody.
Very moldy.
Yeah, very moldy. Oh, and that reminds me, on the way over here, there's this place called Fuzzy Tacos.
Yeah, very moldy.
I don't know if I want to eat
Fuzzy?
a fuzzy taco. Doesn't sound good. I just say it, I'm not knocking the place. It's not very. Torchies? Kick ass. Fuzzy's not so bad.
Tough tacos?
Yeah. But we have this manuscript that we're going to read out of, which is entitled When Cars Had Fins.
Big fin.
Oh my God. When Cars Had Fins. And this happened back in the 50s when we were
Well,
a little bit younger than we
a
are
little
now.
younger.
Right? Believe me,
A lot younger.
gasoline, believe it or not, 15 cents a gallon.
and that was on sale.
No, wait a minute.
No, that was on
No. Big price war going on.
Price
Across the
war.
street, he's lowered his price to $12.9. Yeah. 50 cents, you're going to practically fill up that shit, or at least get from here to there and back again.
Might as well take a bunch of cans along with you. Fill up more.
They used to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Coffee cans. You keep coffee cans in the back of the trunk filled with gasoline, just in case you're out on the road someplace you run out of gas. Because there's,
How did we get into
I
that?
don't know. 15 cent a gallon gasoline. I don't know what else was cheap back then.
Cheap. Oh, wow.
Women
Women were cheap
were
then?
cheap back then.
That's up to you.
Men were cheap. Men were real cheap. They didn't
I
have
don't
any
know
money.
where
They
you're
didn't
going.
have any money. I don't know how we got off on that.
I don't either. You
know.
better
But
stop
on the
that.
way over here,
This is a public place.
Stop! On the way over here, I thought about where we were going to be, which is a bookstore, which is, one of the few places that I used to like to hang out when I was, much younger. And then that got me thinking about, well, we're going to talk about the 50s. We've got a little script here we're going to read from When Cars Had Fins. Did I mention that?
No.
I didn't.
I don't know.
I didn't.
I'm dead blonde. I don't know.
I think about, Jack Cork. He went out on the road, man. He went out on the road, and I read on the internet the other day where he wrote that whole manuscript on a roll of toilet paper with a number 2 lead pencil.
Oh, come
Oh,
on.
I don't, they butchered it.
Number 2?
Yeah. The whole manuscript he wrote, and then you had Allen Ginsberg, howling, having that dude howled about everything. He howled about the government. He howled about the military. He howled about the politicians.
Was he the one that howled at his
I
wife?
think he just howled to howl. I think he just howled to howl.
That's not the one that...
Allen Ginsberg. Back in the 50s. The 50s. We're trying to get you in the mood for the 50s. We're going on in the 50s.
Cars with big fins.
Yeah, big fins. Cars had fins.
Cars had big
And then there's the son of Burroughs Adding Machine Company, Mr. William Burroughs, very strange guy. He always ate his lunch naked for some reason. I never could figure that out. But there's a story about him too. I don't know if any of you ever heard it. Excuse me?
Didn't want to get his clothes dirty.
There you go. But if you've ever seen the man, I think you lose your appetite. You had to say it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But story about him. He and his wife. I don't know, maybe you've heard this one before. Him and his wife took a vacation to Mexico City. Mr. and Mrs. Burroughs.
Oh, yes.
What a vacation.
Got drunker than skunks on tequila down there, and William Burroughs decided he was going to play William Tell. And believe it or not, the apple won. Mrs. Burroughs didn't come home from the vacation, and that's a true story. That's fact. Yeah, Mr. Burroughs.
Did he get prosecuted for that? It was not...
No, he's the son of the International Business Machines Corporation. But this is back when Penny Loafers, Saddle Oxfords, Bobby Socks, and more, making out in backseat bingo with French kisses galore.
Hula hoops, poodle skirts, petticoats that flutter, ducktails, sock hops, shimmy dresses, all in the study.
Howdy Doody, Buffalo Bob, and Pinky Lee
Remember those guys?
were colored black and white. Beatniks, pool halls. Mary Jane gave all the squares a fright.
4 on the floor with a stick shift, dual carbs, and a V8 made Johnny rebel without a cause. 3-2 beer, purple passion, skinny dipping. We did it all without a pause.
Drive-ins, drag races, beep-bop-a-loo-la, do the stroll. Say no to A-bombs, the Cold War, godless commies. Let's just all rock and roll.
And crawl under your desk and put your head between your legs.
Duck and cover, duck and cover.
Duck
Don't
and
forget
cover,
the
duck
duck.
and cover.
All right. Now, this is the manuscript when cars had fins. Imagine, if you would, it's after midnight. There's 4 teenagers in the car, 2 in the front seat, 2 in the back seat, with a boy and a girl in the front, a boy and a girl in the back. The boy in the front, his name is Johnny Psycho, and that is spelled S-Y-C-O, Johnny Psycho. And his girlfriend's name is Naomi Twats. Now, in the back seat is our hero, our protagonist, Colin Owen Goody, and his girlfriend, Tony Toofer. So,
I'm serious, these names are real.
here we go. Yeah, this is kind of a narrative, nonfiction, semi-memoir, a bunch of bullshit that I just strung together, you know? Okay. Johnny Psycho's brown and cream-colored Ford station wagon is parked just off to the side of a low water slab next to a thick clump of dogwood trees. The push-button Delco radio was softly playing Sam Cooke. My buddy Psycho was sitting behind the steering wheel with his arm extended around the shoulders of his date, Naomi Twats.
Hey, Twatsy,
Psycho said, gently pulling the gum-popping girl toward him.
how do you like my chariot tonight?
Naomi ignored Psycho's inane question. Instead, the full-figured girl, her lips coated with neon pink lipstick, guaranteed not to kiss off, turned toward the back seat where Tony and I only had eyes for each other.
Hey, you guys are so quiet.
Naomi said. Then she drooled a dab of spit on the black powder inside her pink plastic compact. She blended that glop with a makeup brush. After applying a thick coat of the mascara to her already heavily mascaraed eyelids, she snapped her gum and popped her dentine and said,
Gosh, gee, Tony, that skirt looks so groovy on you. Wish my butt would fit into something like that. Hey, you want a stick of gum? I got one piece left.
Tony smiled and shook her head.
No, thanks. Hey, say, Naomi, why don't you come over to my house tomorrow? I'll size you for a skirt, and maybe we can sew up something that'll shrink your thighs and stretch out your frame, huh?
Naomi's thin black pencil eyebrows shot higher up her forehead when she whispered.
Really? You can do that? You can make my butt smaller? Oh, well, we can sure try.
Tony reached over the seat to give Naomi a pat on the shoulder.
And all it's going to cost you is a vote for me for class president. Oh, and tell all your friends to vote for me, too.
There you go, twats, I said, trying not to smirk. A vote for Tony shrinks your buns. I pulled Tony back against me so I could stick my nose in her hair and sniff and sniff and sniff. Psycho, up front, scooted his big bulbous butt across the seat and run up against Naomi's fleshy thigh. Not one for chit-chat or a handshake. He just dove right in and started smooching on Naomi's exposed neck.
That tickles. Say, Johnny, you sure nobody comes here? This place is spooky. You know, if my dad found out I was out here naked with you, he'd kill us both with his shotgun. You'd go first, of course. Well, twats, not to worry.
Psycho said, taking Naomi with him as he slowly sunk below seat level.
Nobody comes out in this neck of the woods unless you blab. Your dad will be sure to be the wiser. Oh, but what about that one-armed guy with the hook.
Hey, you two up front, I hissed, while melting further in the back corner with Tony. Pipe down! My back was leaning against the door, and my legs were stretched straight out across the seat. Tony's head was nestled against my chest. It might have been a coincidence, but it seemed that every time I admired what Tony was carrying up front, the top two buttons on her blouse had mysteriously popped open.
Dun, dun, dun.
I inhaled a big lungful of her musky scent. It was a combination of Avon's cotillion, complemented by Noxzema cleansing cream. Without a word, Tony took my hand and pressed it palm first against her cheek. I nuzzled her ear, the back of her neck, and took a calculated risk. Surprised, there wasn't any resistance when I cupped her breast with my unoccupied hand. Instead, there was a soft moan that led to the offering of a luscious pair of ruby red lips. After a long, slow kiss, I hummed, "Baby, you know what I like." But tell me, just how do you know?
Well, woman's intuition.
Can you guess what I'm thinking now?
That's easy.
Tony reached down to place her hand on top of my erect penis, which was trying its best to escape from my khakis. All I could do was groan and scoot my butt further down so that we were both laying prone on the back seat. My situation got even better when I watched Tony unbutton her blouse to expose a pair of bra-covered boobies. The starch-like shirt hung out of the skirt. Beads of sweat covered my forehead. In the darkness, I could barely make out her face when I said, "You've got to tell my hands what to do next."
Well, if you want to have fun, tell them to go where they'll get in the most trouble. But first, just in case someone up front comes up for air, grab that cover in the back.
I slid my hand along the station wagon's rear floor till it ran into the army blanket brought from home. Once we were concealed from any prying eyes up front, I fumbled around in a blind search for bra hooks. It was tedious work to set Tony's breast free, but ultimately I hit pay dirt. There wasn't much light under the army blanket. But my busy hands told me that I'd uncovered what I'd only seen in girly magazines or my imagination. After anxious miscues of body parts, coupled with nervous exploration into uncharted territory, for both Tony and I, it was over.
Oh.
I came away from the total experience satisfied with my final outcome, but I wasn't sure Tony felt the same way. Needing a breath of fresh air, we carefully uncovered our heads. Tony reached up and sketched intertwined male and female medical symbols in the car's steaming window glass. I kissed her forehead and asked, "Is that us?"
Well, do you want it to be?
Sure, I mean, if that's what you want too. She silently rubbed out the dripping circles. What the hell, I initiated a game of creep mouse over her smooth leg, but Tony blocked my fingers with a firm grip.
Colin, let me explain something. I know we both have to be careful. All it takes is one chance in a million and I'm knocked up meat. So, next time maybe you should use two of those little rubber thingies. Oh, and something else. If you really love me, then I think a ring would be nice, don't you?
For once, even the sometimes voice inside my head had been struck dumb. But then someone up front yelped. When Naomi's face rose above the seat, Tony and I saw that the poor girl's mascara had melted, leaving large black rings under her eyes. Tony giggled and waved.
Hey, Naomi, you know what? I'll take that piece of gum now.